It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast as we get ever closer to December and then, of course, Christmas. And then the new year, 2025, not too far away. As we talk your property news 7 days a week, it is a Tuesday, October the 15th today. As we know, soaring property prices in capital cities has many buyers priced out of the market. This has been going on for some time, prompting a shift towards regional areas. I'd love to know what the top number is in terms of just how many people have actually moved. PropTrack tells us this morning that in Sydney, of course, the median home price is well exceeding $1 million, while regional New South Wales is sitting at around $765,000. Similarly, Melbourne's median price sits at $762 and change, and that is compared to $581,000 in regional Victoria, where a lot of people have made it home. And as more home buyers explore regional areas for affordability, demand, of course, has surged, driving significant price growth in key locations. And we're talking regional areas like Lochinvar in the Hunter Valley, where the median home prices have risen, get this, 67% in 12 months. So let's catch up with Stephanie McCabe from Thompson and Clarke, located in East Maitland. And a very good morning to you, Stephanie. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast. This is just a classic example where people have decided to move regionally, and you're in that number one position on a top 20 list from PropTrack. Not bad.
I'm pretty stoked with that. Thanks so much for having me here today. I'm very excited to share some news in terms of the Lochinvar market.
Now, Lochinvar, it is located just an hour from Newcastle. It has outpaced, as I say, nearly all capital city suburbs in price growth over the past year, except for two suburbs. And I wonder where those two suburbs would be. Can you guess where those two suburbs would be? I can tell you that they are in Adelaide. Yes, the darling over the last 12 to 18 months. So that doesn't surprise. But Stephanie, what's the driver, do you think, for the growth and the spectacular growth in Lochinvar?
Absolutely. So being number one is definitely affordability for the type of property that you can actually purchase. For example, our home worth in Newcastle for $800,000 will be a lot less, whereas in Lochinvar you can purchase something less than a year old, quite new, the land size, the lifestyle, and also the proximity to growth areas in Lochinvar.
Now, Lochinvar has had this recent surge in new developments, which is obviously fueled by a demand, driven up the prices. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your market with regard to those new developments, more in particularly, what is actually being built?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, what's being built here in Lochinvar is a standard of 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car garage, situated on about 700 odd square metres, and that's what families are looking for, is just that extra space. And not to mention the location in towards the Hunter Expressway, straight down to Sydney and Newcastle, and also the Upper Hunter. So it's more so affordability, the land size, and also the layout of the home is what families are looking for. Not to mention, it is a great place for investment. For example, you can achieve $700 to $800 per week on a 422.
So let's talk about the investors. You're obviously dealing with those investors that perhaps are coming in and maybe buying some of that stock.
Absolutely. We see investors every week inquiring on properties in Lochinvar. If, for example, our open homes on a Saturday, in the last couple of weeks, we have not really had many locals come to the area. It is Sydney investors, Central Coast and first home buyers, especially from Sydney, looking to get into the market, and they are willing to make that change into a regional area from, say, example, the Sydney CBD. So, and especially investors see the value in Lochinvar given that it is a growth area.
Yeah, I always like the rationale from an investor. So they're just simply saying this is value for money. Beyond that, what are some of the other things that investors are indicating to you for wanting to move into the area?
Especially the age of the homes, depreciation-wise as well, just looking at it, and families are looking to move here. So whether they're building and looking to rent a place for a minimum of 12 months, so you've got investors coming in, first home buyers, but for investment purposes, the growth there just continues to grow and it remains steady in the Lochinvar area.
Because we've got first-time buyers that listen to the podcast, perhaps just give us a little bit of an overview, because there'll be a lot of people around the country that have never heard of Lochinvar. Perhaps you can just sort of talk to the rural lifestyle, because this is a bit of a driver for people. They like to have a bigger backyard, a bit of room, and plenty of land around by the sound of it. The other thing that I picked up on with Lochinvar is that it's very close to job opportunities in the area. So perhaps sort of lay all of that out for first-time listeners that don't know anything about Lochinvar.
Absolutely. So Lochinvar is quite central at the moment if you consider moving here for work. If you work in the mines, you've also got hospitality around you, and also the medical industry as well, with the New Maitland Hospital recently opening, and also majority, if you're a contractor, there's plenty of work options in the Hunter Valley. So there's multiple job opportunities, especially for first home buyers as well. If they're looking to get into the market or relocate, there will be a job there potentially for them.
Now, let's just ask you a question for somebody that might be wanting to upsize to a larger section. So you talked about the 4x2s, around 800 square metres. What about somebody wanting something a little bit bigger, like an acreage, 1 or 2 acres? What's sort of happening in that space?
Yeah, for Lochinvar, they don't really have a lot of acreage unless you go towards the Greater and Branxton areas. However, you can pick up an acreage style home for around 1 million to 1.3, depending on obviously the land size that you're after. But specifically Lochinvar, they do go up to, in the new build areas, around that 800 square metres. Up from that, you're probably going 5 minutes out of Lochinvar as well.
All right, we are in Lochinvar this morning. We are talking to Stephanie McCabe. We'll come back after this and find out a little bit more.
Gain insights with exclusive conversations from real estate professionals about buying, selling and investing across Australia.
And right now, let's catch up with Jess Doolan. She is in the ACT. We have got another property tip coming to you. And Jess, you would like to tell everybody, advise people about what?
I would like to advise a lot of sellers in the market. We get the question all the time, is it too early to take an offer? I would say in our market right now, it's never too early to take an offer. So as an owner, be prepared that you will find your buyer in the first 1 to 2 open homes. You definitely want to take advantage of negotiating quite quickly in a market that is oversupplied.
Yeah, it's something that we've talked about before, because for whatever reason, it gets into somebody's mindset that when that first initial offer comes in, if it's quick, they think they've priced the property wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think 80% of buyers that we find in our office are within the first 1 to 2 open homes. So people that are coming through properties in the first 2 weeks are your most qualified and urgent purchasers. They're circumstantially wanting to lock something down quite quick. In this market, the longer that you sit on the market, the more consumers start to question why. So you definitely want to be negotiating from points of leverage, and that generally is quite early on.
Listen to in-depth discussions with industry leaders on investing options, understanding different suburbs with insider perspectives and exclusive tips.
And it is a Real Estate Tuesday. We're in Lochinvar this morning and talking to Stephanie. So if I was to ask you, Stephanie, what makes your market different to other regional markets? Is anything sort of coming to mind that sort of separates you out?
Absolutely. Definitely the larger land lots is something that separates us from some other areas, specifically in Maitland, and this is the quality of the homes as well. So for $800,000 to get a near new build is huge for a lot of people, especially if you go a little bit further out towards your Newcastle and areas. For $800,000, you're not really getting a new home. You more than likely have to put money into a home. So for us in Lochinvar, just being able to achieve a new build and for a decent price and affordability is what people are looking for.
All right, and we should actually highlight the top 20 regional suburbs that PropTrack gave us the other day with the largest year-on-year median home price growth. Number one, as we mentioned, is Lochinvar, and that has got a median of $800,000, and the jump is 67% in 12 months. In number two position is Hyde Park in Queensland. That's sitting at $357,000. Now, Hyde Park is a suburb of Townsville, so we should point that out. 59% in 12 months of growth. Millmerran in Queensland, the suburb of Darling Downs, that has got a growth of 50%, median sitting at $375,000. Tralee in New South Wales, that has a median of $799,000, a 50% rise. Tarcoola Beach in Western Australia, that is described as outback in the south, $635,000, a rise of 48%. And Bonville, New South Wales in Coffs Harbour, Grafton is the suburb, I think, 1.350. That's 1,350,000 is the median, 46% rise. So some pretty big numbers there. I want to ask you before we wrap it all up, Stephanie, is do you think the main reason that people are moving into your area?
The main reason would be simply affordability. People are moving here purely for the fact that it's affordable, the location as well, and also probably a few lifestyle appeal as well. So there's lots of space for being out there in the nature. You've got the Hunter Valley wineries, so location and affordability is why people are coming to Lochinvar.
Oh, I must ask that question. Just how long a drive is it from the Hunter Valley?
You're looking at 20 minutes, 25 minutes, if that.
Oh, that's not bad. How many of those brunches have you had out there over the years?
Not enough.
And how long have you been working in real estate in your market?
I've been working in real estate for 8.5 years now. So I've seen a lot. I've seen Lochinvar become something really special, even surrounding areas from, a paddock to some really beautiful estates, and watching people move in and create Lochinvar and making it a growth area is what, I enjoy about my job, is just watching the areas continue to grow and see happy families.
Can you remember 8 years ago when you got into the market what the median value was back then?
Oh, goodness. It wasn't $800,000, that's for sure. You're probably looking at $350, maybe $380, $400. It's crazy to see how the market has changed from 8 years ago to what it is today, and it's definitely beneficial for those who purchased it quite a while ago.
Yeah, for sure. And is there anybody you want to give a shout out to this morning?
Sure. My whole team at Thompson and Clarke Real Estate, they're are amazing, and I thank them every day that I have this opportunity, and also the Lochinvar locals. I really appreciate them. Yeah.
And you say it with a smile on your face, which is great. All right. Well, thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. Really appreciate that. Good luck there in Lochinvar. And I guess you're going to get some phone calls today, potentially.
Potentially. And I look forward to speaking to everybody.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.